Very good evening. Jai Shri Krishna Guru. Thank you for joining Shri Bhagavad Gita Satsang, the Song of the Divine. We will be continuing from chapter 2, Sankhyayoga, the Yoga of Knowledge. So we will be starting from verse 32, that is the Kshatriya's duty to engage himself in a fight. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namah, Om Shri Ganeshaya Namah, Om Shri Saraswataya Namah, Om Shri Guru Dattatreya Namah, Om Shri Mahalakshmi Namah. Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwaraha, Guru Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. So we have done till verse 31, where Lord Shri Krishna is teaching Arjuna how not to get swayed between the pairs of opposites, and he's asking Arjuna to lift his bow and arrow and shoot, that is, fight the war. So now we'll continue from verse 32 onwards. Arjuna, fortunate are the Kshatriyas who get such an unsolicited opportunity for war, which is an open gateway to heaven. That's so profound. What is Lord Shri Krishna telling Arjuna here? Let me just go back to the last verse which we did. In that, Lord is telling Arjuna, considering your own duty too, you should not waver, for there is nothing more welcome for a man of the warrior class than a righteous war. So Arjuna is from a warrior class. He's a Kshatriya and his duty is to fight. So he's saying there can be not anything more welcoming than that. So in continuation, the Lord is saying to Arjuna, Arjuna, fortunate are the Kshatriyas who get such an unsolicited opportunity for war. It's very rare that the kings get such a opportunity to, to fight, which means it's also about to do their dharma and swadharma, which is very important. Dharma is, here Lord Shri Krishna is teaching Arjuna to fight the righteous war, the war of dharma, and also perform his swadharma. Swadharma is the purpose of his existence, and that purpose could be anything. It could be just fighting this war as well, which is an open gateway to heaven. What is the Lord telling here? The Lord is telling Arjuna that if you fight this war, which is the righteous war, and also as a duty, because you are a Kshatriya, the warrior, you're born from a warrior class, and you're getting an opportunity to fight this unsolicited opportunity for the war. You're not even, you're not forced to, or it is just coming naturally to you. And anything that comes on its own, you got to fight, because that is what is your duty. The duty is very important. How can you not perform your duty? So Lord Shri Krishna is telling Arjuna very nicely, you've got such a good opportunity. This itself, through the path of karma. So when you perform your duty, to the highest of your ability, without bothering about the end results, it's an open gateway to heaven. You will on your own reach the heaven without having to make any much of effort. That is what the Lord is saying. See, today we are all afraid to face our life, and we don't want to do our duties, which is born out of our dharma. Dharma is, there are two things which Lord Shri Krishna stands for. One is the dharma, and the second is swadharma. And swadharma comes to you over a period of time. That is the purpose of your existence. And dharma is, you have to do your duties following the path of righteousness, as prescribed by Lord Shri Krishna. So here, it is a huge opportunity for Arjuna to fight his battle. See, we are all extremely afraid of life, the consequences of what could happen, whatever, whether you're going to win the war, fail the war, or you're going to lose the war. We don't know. So we are always wondering what could be the end result. And in the process, we are also getting emotional if there is any issues with a family, what could happen to them? I will lose my uncles, my aunts, my children, my grandchildren, my nephews, everybody will die. So what is the use of fighting? Is it about the death? that you are afraid. Again, that's what Lord Sri Krishna has explained since the beginning of this chapter, that the soul doesn't die. What dies is this body alone. And then he taught us about how we should not get swayed between the pairs of opposite. Why do we have to get swayed between the pairs of opposite? And I'll tell you a very beautiful teaching which my Krishna Guruji imparted in a very nice manner. See, today, if you see the way how we are living, we are constantly, we're dwelling in our mind. The thoughts could be the good or the bad. We're constantly swaying between the pairs of opposites. And especially when the senses come in contact with the sense objects, immediately there triggers a reaction. The mind comes to the play. The moment the mind comes in, it triggers a reaction, and that reaction could be either positive or negative, whatever that reaction might be. But why should that reaction itself happen? So my Guruji was teaching me a very, very important lesson. He said, most important thing is, see, today, if you're listening to someone saying something nice about you, you're immediately going to feel mighty pleased. Or you look at a person, and if somebody is telling you this person is a very good person, say they recommend to me, somebody recommended to me a doctor, and I know that because that person has been recommended, the doctor has been recommended, I say, oh, this doctor is very good. So already I have, just by hearing. So what happened? It's a hear, right? I heard. My ear is listening. My friend said, okay, this doctor is extremely good. He's a diabetes specialist. He has cured a lot of patients without even having them to take any insulin, just by making them follow certain regime, in their daily diet or whatever that he might be doing. And then I've heard all of this. So for me, immediately is, okay, this doctor must be good because my friend said so. So what is it coming in? It's a reference. But who has made the judgment? Who heard? My sense, like my sense organ, right? My ear is hearing. And then what happens? My mind is processing that data, what I heard. Oh, this person is very good. So I've already made a judgment in my mind that person is good without even having had the first-hand experience. I have not met this person, but just because if it's a reference. But what happens? Someone else comes to me and says, oh, that doctor, I went to him and he's destroyed my mother's health even further. Whatever that man is telling, it's not good, don't trust. So have I heard conflicting views? And then what happens? So one is giving a positive reference. The second one is giving a negative reference. So which one do I believe? So first, I've already made a judgment. No, this doctor is good. So who am I going to trust? Now the person who referred and the other person who's not referring, he's saying don't go. And that other person is saying you go to somebody else. Now all of this, the data, like whatever I'm hearing, both analysis, my mind is analyzing. Whatever the information that I have received from both ends, my mind is processing and analyzing. But if I trust my friend the most, I actually believe in her reference. Then what will I do? If the other person that I might not be trusting so much even has said something not a positive comment, I'm still not going to consider that. And then I will go to this doctor. Now, who has made this judgment about somebody is good, somebody is bad? Is based on hearsay or whatever we see. It's everything to do with the senses. But is that the truth? Actually, the doctor might be somebody very different. But till the time I haven't had my own personal experience, how can I, have that conviction this doctor is right, wrong, good, bad? No, I can't do the judgment. And this is what my Guruji was teaching. So whatever you hear, whatever you believe in, by whether you're seeing, whether you're hearing, whether you're, your mind is creating that perceptions, it's all based on what you understand. Now, is that the truth? Actually, no. See, our mind is very capable of making a lot of judgments. We already have had certain judgments made about an individual. So can you change that judgment? No, you can't. And that is what my Guruji is explaining. So why are you judging? See, everybody has an inherent nature. This is the point that he was coming to, which is everybody has a inherent nature which is very difficult to overcome. Nobody can change their nature, by the way. And because this is the body, the nature is given to us by Prakriti at the time of our birth. So we are born with that nature, and we have been living the same way. But what changes is the way we look at that object. So my Guruji was saying, so why should you react? Why does that reaction happen? And so he taught, one of his devotees, an 8-year-old child was here. To her, he was giving the same example he gave me. And he was teaching her how not to get swayed or get, involved in somebody else's fight or become like them. So what he was teaching her is how she needs to live in this world, the way of life, which is to not get swayed between the right and the wrong. So he said, in a very simple manner, he was telling, there are dogs on the street. So when we go, some dogs might look at us and bark. And they bark loud, they almost come to bite you. And there are some dogs who come and lick us. They just want to cuddle you, they want to be loved, and they want to love you as well. Now, if you see the dog which is barking, why do you want to go near it? And there are other dogs which might be very nice. So you can, be around. But you don't have to take either side. Does it mean the dog which is barking is a bad dog and the dog which is not barking is a good dog? No. Both the dogs have their own inherent nature. Some dogs are ferocious, the other dogs are not ferocious. That's all the difference. But do I react to either of this? No, because they both are perfect in their place. Like every human being is born with an inherent nature. So that is something we cannot discount it. Understanding that nature and not getting swayed by what you hear. Oh, look at that person. He's calling me I am bad. He's saying bad things about me. But why does that happen? Because we are judging that individual in our mind. And one other most important thing that you always need to understand is, without having knowledge, don't judge a person. Because you don't know where that person is coming from. So many a time, my Guruji, if you have to sort out any problem, he'll always say, if you have any differences or you need to sort out, speak out. Speak out in this and sit with that person and address whatever the concerns you might have in a very civil manner. In the sense, it's not about barking like dogs. It means to just sort out. You might have misunderstood. Why? Because you don't have a knowledge about that subject or you don't have enough information. So before judging anybody and before jumping into conclusions, we must always, get that right information and have the understanding, then sort it out. And that way, we are not going to live in this mind game. And who is creating all these images? It is the mind which creates the images. And this is exactly what he was teaching. See, if we do not overcome the pairs of opposites, we cannot transcend the 3 gunas. Because we'll always be, stuck in the gunas. One is, we have to go from from tamas to rajas to sattva. Which means we have to be in the mode of goodness. While we have to also perform our action. Rajas is all about action. Sattva is about doing your action, but in being your good self. And tamas is, it's like it comes a very lesser path, which means you become angry. You're completely lethargic. You're always in the state of inertia. All that comes in. But nobody says you can't. From tamas, you can't attain the divine. You can. But for which you need that strength and the ability to transcend that and not fall prey into that tamasic tendencies. So coming back, so my Guruji was saying, so most important thing is you will have to first transcend the pairs of opposite. If you can't even be a good human being, then how will you go beyond being good? What is going beyond mean? See, going beyond means the pairs of opposite does not disturb you. We are always against each other's throat. Some person are good in our life, some person some people are bad in our life, we're constantly swaying between right, wrong, right, wrong. It's like a pendulum. Our mind is constantly doing this yo-yo, and it is eating you up. It doesn't let you be in peace. Why? Because you're allowing yourself to get, dwell in that object, in that subject. And we shouldn't. So what happens then comes, you become a bitter human being. Oh, look at the person, he said something bad about me. And then you're going to carry that grudge. Can you in any capacity become divine? Absolutely not. This is a question my Krishna Guruji asked. If you carry whatever the grudge, or if you're going to be swaying between the pairs of opposite, how will you transcend? How will you attain the Lord Sri Krishna, who's beyond the senses, the mind, the body, the three gunas, who's transcended all of this, and he's beyond Maya too? How will you reach him? No, we cannot, because we are not able to get out of this pairs of opposites itself. So we must strive hard. And he said, you need to have perfect equanimity of mind, which means you're not going to sway between the right and the wrong. Never, never. You just need to know that everything is perfect in its place and never take anybody's side. And you have to only be on the side of the Lord, which is what Lord Sri Krishna is teaching, which is on the path of dharma. And we shouldn't be judgmental about anybody. There's no point in getting angry with anyone. So my Guruji says, when you understand this truth, why do you think anything can affect you? You will do your duties, in the being in the perfect state of equanimity, and serve the purpose of your existence on this planet Earth. But the problem is today, we all get lost in our mind's play. That is what here Lord Sri Krishna is teaching Arjuna how to overcome. I'm sorry it took a little longer time in explaining this, but I felt this is a very important lesson that you need to know. And that will help you, become a better human being. Today, what is my Guruji doing with an 8-year-old? She's an 8-year-old and, one of his devotee, youngest devotee. The reason he's teaching her that is because he needs to make her understand her mind that she should become centered and not get swayed between these two things, so that she can have a very strong foundation in being able to, control her mind and channel the way she looks at life itself. And that will empower her to do her swadharma. That is what it is all about. So having the right knowledge is important, and that right knowledge can only be imparted by the Lord himself. So, whatever the duty, it is you're born of. Like he says, Arjuna is a Kshatriya. So as a Kshatriya, it becomes his duty to fight. And when you perform your duty, you get it's like an open gateway to the heaven. And you attain heaven so easily. That's what he's saying. So why wouldn't you now stand up and fight? Now, if you refuse to fight this righteous war, then shirking your duty and losing your reputation, you will incur sin. Very simple. This is no rocket science. But you know what? When a person is in that emotional condition or completely infatuated, let me tell you, you can't reason out with this kind of people because they're lost in their mind. They're completely, living in that, they're dwelling in that muck. And they are not going to lift their bow and arrow and shoot. It's not going to happen. So here the Lord is telling in so many ways to Arjuna, you have to fight. At this moment in time, you can't say that you're not going to fight. And he's telling, if you don't fight and if you refuse to fight now, this righteous war, then shirking your duty, you're actually going to not only lose your reputation. People will tell him, what kind of a warrior are you? Are you really a Kshatriya? This is how the world will speak. And everybody will laugh at you. And beyond all that is, you will incur sin because you're not doing your karma. When you do not perform your karma, your duties, you will incur sin. So why, Arjuna? Why are you telling at this hour that you will not fight? See, remember one thing. We are all born with our own karmas, okay? We are born with a destiny. Whether we like it or not, we have to go through that. And in that path, there are going to be some events which are going to be very nice, some events which are going to be very painful. All sorts of things are going to happen. But when you have the Lord on your side, why do you fear? He's already cushioned your destiny. But the only thing that is going to happen is those events are going to be there. Those events cannot be averted because your prarabdha karma is what is going to happen. Whether you like it or not, it is going to happen. So you have to face. But the Guruji, the Guru, your master, he cushions it. Like Lord Sri Krishna will cushion everything for you. So why are you afraid? What has to be will be. And my Guruji has written a very nice message on his, like in his desk. It's always a reminder, Everything is the sweet will of the Lord. So when you surrender at the lotus feet of the Divine Lord, can anything happen to you? Nothing shall happen. Worst come worst, what can happen? You might lose the war, you might lose your family, but what is it? There's nothing real in it. What is already predestined or programmed, it's already programmed. So that is anyways going to happen. So why do you think you are the responsible for something, for something to happen? My Guruji was telling something very beautiful. He said, whether it is Buddha or Jesus Christ got crucified. He was betrayed by Judas and Peter denied him. And Buddha was poisoned. So their death was very brutal. But could anybody avert this? Even if Peter said, I'm not going to deny you, Jesus. If Jesus had told him, Jesus did say to Peter, you're going to deny me before the cock crows in the morning, right? Before that time, you're going to deny me 3 times. And Peter was like, no, I wouldn't do something like that. But please remember, it's the will of the Divine Lord. It is already programmed in such a manner. So do we say Peter is bad or Judas, who had to play the part of betraying Jesus Christ? You mean to say he's bad? But they were programmed by the Divine Lord. It is the will of the Divine. So you and me are just a tool. And that is the truth we need to understand. Likewise, Buddha was poisoned. Again, that was programmed. If those people who have to perform such a heinous act, if I have to say, because somebody poisoning Buddha is not good. But that is how it has been programmed. But what do we say, oh, how can that person do this? But we are actually blaming that individual. Don't you think that individual is playing a very important role? So who can stop the will of the Divine Lord who has already designed in that manner? So my Guruji will always say, if you have to be the best villain, just be the best villain. You have to play your role to the T. And if you have to be the hero, that's your role, be the best hero in this world. But you know what? When you are with the Divine Lord, you're always going to be hero, which means we are here to serve a bigger cause. We are here to serve this universe. It's about serving this universe that is most important, and which means serving the purpose of the Divine Lord. So why should we be like a selfish motivation that I don't want to do, I will not do? Who is this I who will not do? Arjuna, you have been born as an Arjuna. How can you say, I will not fight the war? It is not in your hands. So here, he's very clearly again telling, if you do not, at this moment in time, do your duty, shirking your duty and losing your reputation, you will incur sin. You can't get away with this. And that will be a greater sin, greater karma than anything else that you can imagine. So let us continue. Verse 34. Nay, people will also pour undying infamy on you. And infamy brought on a man enjoying popular esteem is worse than death. He's still emphasizing that. What does it mean? Infamy, people are going to say all bad things. They're going to criticize you. They're going to slander you. And they're going to say, they can call you a coward. You can, how can a king be this? They're going to bring all the infamy that's going to happen to you. How will you then, die a peaceful death? He's saying, on a man one who's enjoying a popular esteem is worse than the death. Somebody who is very famous, how can an infamy come to him? Everybody's very proud, of Arjuna, that he was able to shoot, he was only able to see the eye of the bird. And his arrow hit the perfect mark. His master was quite proud of him. So Arjuna had done some great feat in life. So being such a popular person, having such a popular esteem, isn't it worse than a death? it's even worse than death, having that kind of infamy where people would, only remember for what kind of a coward you were. So why would you become that, Arjuna? That is what Lord Shri Krishna is telling. So we cannot become like this, right? And please remember, this Arjuna is you and me. Don't you think this Mahabharata happens in our life every single day? We go through these situations. We face life someday, not someday. In a day, you are up and down, high and feeling low 100 times. If somebody says something to you, oh, look at the person, how dare. No, I'm feeling like a doormat, I'm being used. And that's when my Guruji asked, has that person killed you? Has that person caused you harm? Has that person destroyed you? What has that person done? He said something. Why are you letting your sense organ to listen to that? Why are you even hearing? And that's a very profound truth. But how do you actually practice? And that's the most important question you need to ask yourself. How do you practice? Today, what is Lord Shri Krishna doing with Arjuna? He's imparting this knowledge, and this Arjuna is you and me. You and me are getting this knowledge, and we have to apply in our life. Can we not be our good self and not get swayed by anything that happens, swayed by whatever people say? It doesn't matter. And most important, just go on doing our duties and not shirking from our duties. That is what is quite important at this hour in life, at this hour. And then not just that, and empower yourself to win in this world. Most important, what is your goal? Your focus has to be on that goal. You have to do your duties to the highest of your abilities. You can't say, I don't know, I cannot do this. People give reasons. And today this is exactly what my Krishna Guruji says. Today I can't find one person who will not give me a reason and just keep doing exactly what I tell them to do. Had it been, then I don't have to keep manifesting time and again. If Arjuna would have listened right in this chapter, imagine Lord Shri Krishna is already we are on the 34th verse, and yet Lord Shri Krishna has not been able to convince Arjuna. I feel very sad. Why do we not listen? Why are we so adamant? Who is this ego in this? Who is this I in this? Why can't we just become that clay? Why can't we just surrender at the lotus feet of this divine Lord and do exactly what He wants us to do? That is because we let our mind come in. We are not able to overcome the attachment to the body, the senses, the sense organs, the mind. We just get so embroiled into that. That's why we say it's embodied. We become this body. We believe that is who we are. So understanding the truth that I am not this body is so important. I am not this mind. I am not the senses. I am that Para-Brahman myself. I am the divine, the Paramatma. That is who I am. Having this knowledge or not getting swayed, you will be able to perform your duties to the highest of your ability. But today, that is what is missing. Sometimes I wonder, I would ask my Guruji, look, that person is having so much success, that person is undeserving. We just have general conversation. We kind of talk based on our own judgments. My Guruji will just say one thing, who do you think you are to judge? Somebody is deserving or not? See, everybody is coming with their own karma. And whatever they have come is because of their past many lives, whatever the karma they have carried forward. And this life, they come here for a repayment, whether it's good events or bad events. That's because of your past many lives, whatever the karma that you have incurred. And that is what you've come here to repay. So we are not here to, question or judge anybody. And this is something you need to understand. You just need to focus in your life. Focus in doing what you are supposed to do. That single pointed devotion is extremely important. And having that faith in the divine Lord, that He's there to take care of you, nothing shall befall you, is the conviction you need to have. And do exactly what the Lord is ordaining you to do. And once you do that, then you will attain the heaven very easily. Then you're doing your true karma, the path of karma you will be able to attain. But unfortunately, we want to question, we want to delay. And what happens? And when you delay, the time is running out. And please remember one very important lesson here. Whether you do it now or not, you're still going to perform the same action. But when you perform, after that moment is dead and gone, you're still going to incur that sin. So why do you want to do it that way? Can you not do it now? That is what Lord Shri Krishna is teaching Arjuna. Let us continue. And the warrior chiefs who thought highly of you will now despise you thinking that it was fear which drove you away from the battle. My God, fear. Oh, that's another very interesting word. We fear everything in our life. Why do you fear? We fear of failures. We fear that something bad is going to happen to us. We fear that we will fall sick. We fear that we will die. Whatever that fear might be. Why should you live in fear? See, when you do your duties, when you work hard, when you're very sincere and truthful, there is nothing to be fear. And there's a very nice definition of fear. Fear stands for face everything and rise, or you can face everything and and also run away. That's something, or fear everything and run away. The choice is yours. So why can't you face everything and rise? That is what is important. Why do you fear? Nothing shall befall you. Many a time my Guruji will ask one question. If I say, oh God, this body's mother is sick, somebody is sick, something is happening, what to do? The fear strikes you. My Guruji will ask a very important question. He says, worst come worst, what can happen? The person is die. So why are you bothered? What has to be will be. Why can't you just surrender? Most important thing, when you surrender to the Divine Lord and when you trust in Him that He is going to take care, don't you think His universe will work to anyways take care of whether it is your parents, whether it is your family, anything, even if it's your job, your money, whatever that is, the challenges that you have. Don't you think the Divine Lord is taking care? But we don't have that conviction. We are always living in that fear. Oh my God, what is going to happen? I have to do, I have to solve. Who is this I? You have been given a task. Your job is to focus on the task. This is a very beautiful lesson. All these things, the situation happens because the Maya is being put in front of you so that to test you, what do you stand for? Do you stand for this dharma, or are you going to get carried away by Maya? Maya is very, very tricky. She's invisible. You can't even catch where she is. It's a most beautiful thing. They say it's Lord's Maya, the energy, something that you can't even see. But everything that happens around you, the situations, it's only to test you. How much you have that conviction that I will fight come what may. I will do this job which is given to me, which is given to me by my Lord, and I will not at any cost give up in life. That dridhatha means that strength, that indomitable spirit is what you need to have. You know why? Anything that is started on a flimsy foundation will crumble and fall. The temple of, the war actually cannot be fought on weak grounds. It cannot be fought with a weaker mind, where there is fear is the driving factor. And when you have this fear, you can't win because you've already accepted defeat. It's not about that you don't have strength. The moment you've already accepted defeat within, how will you use your strength to go fight? That spirit of fighting is not going to be there in you. You've already said, I am a failure. You've accepted it even before you have actually tried. So what is very important? Lifting your bow and arrow and shooting is very important. The foundation, the ground on which the war has to be fought has to be very firm. I will win. In the sense, you don't have to say I will win. Yeah, but you have to go with the fighting spirit of winning, not losing for sure. But the end result is never in your hands. So that indomitable spirit is what is required. But the moment you fear, let me tell you, fear is the worst thing a man can have. The moment you fear, it will destroy the ability to do anything in this world. Why today Arjuna is not able to do? Because he's been driven by the word called fear. And fear will never allow an individual to perform their duties. And that's extremely dangerous. So don't fear. Like Saint Sai Baba also teaches, why fear when I'm here? Just do what you have been ordained to do. That is most important. So let us continue. So what is he saying? Even everybody else will despise you if you don't, if you do not fight the battle. You can't be fearing. So, Lord Shri Krishna is saying, the warrior chiefs who thought so highly about Arjuna, Everybody will despise him now. Likewise, right? People, we have already set in expectations in our world. And imagine when we go say, you know what, I'm afraid I can't just fight this war. Or I'm not going to do this because I'm afraid that I will fail. You become a laughing stock, right? People lose that respect about you or the belief that you're somebody great. How can you do this? You can't fear. And thinking that it was the fear which drove you away from the battle. So yeah, they'll believe if you say, I'm going to back out now, everybody will, laugh at you, thinking, of course you're afraid to face life. So we have to face. We should not fear. So let us continue. Verse 36. And your enemies, disparaging your might, will speak many unbecoming words, which can be more distressing than this. What can be more distressing than this? Oh my God, that's a very interesting thing. What is Lord is saying here? Your enemies will laugh at you. You will make yourself a laughing stock. They will call you names. They will say all sorts of wrong things about you. And then what can be more distressing than this? Don't you think that's even more worst? You're going to hear all sorts of nonsensical stuff about you. That, oh, look at this. He's a coward. He's not willing to fight. He's afraid. Can any warrior be afraid? Because his enemies are not saying that they don't want to fight. The Kauravas are waiting for the war to begin. And here Arjuna is saying, no, I don't want to fight. So who is afraid? The fear is in Arjuna and not in the Kauravas. So don't you think the Kauravas are going to say some things? Of course they will. And they are allowed to say, right? If I'm going to be backing out of a war, of course my enemies are going to say, oh, look at the coward. She's running away or he's running away. That's what they're going to say. And they're going to call me names. They're going to slander. They're going to, talk all sorts of things. And that's going to be very distressing when I hear that kind of things being spoken about me. When I know I'm the greatest warrior. And then when I say at that right moment, when I have to fight and I'm just withdrawing myself. So that's greater distress than what he's going through at this moment in time. I'm sure you can resonate with this very well. And this is what happens to us human beings. Every day we'll say, oh, today I will do great things. I will do this, I will do that. But just a small disturbing thing that might occur in your life, you'll say, oh, I don't want to face life. Why? Just because, there is a big problem in your life. You think that's a big war that you have to fight. And then we'll say, oh, no, I'm not going to do. This is how we waste our life. My Guruji will say, there are only very few people, on your fingertips, you can just count. The chosen ones who do their duty to their highest of their ability. Not even bothering about whether they fail or not. My Guruji was giving a very nice example about Tesla. Elon Musk, he said one of his cars failed miserably. And he's not even bothered. He's like, okay, let me create a better one than that. That's called the spirit. You're not bothered about something failed. So what? I will try till I succeed. That is the winning spirit we need to have. Doesn't mean, you have to sit down, okay, I failed. That means I can never succeed. That's not the attitude you need to carry. You need to say, okay, I will make a better car than this. That is called the spirit of, fighting in this world. And continuing to progress and putting that hard work, putting that effort to becoming that great warrior. See, being Arjuna, we all can cry. Like my Guruji will say, this Arjuna, had he listened right at right at the beginning, I don't have to teach this 18 chapters. I don't have to go through this whole Bhagavad Gita. Would have finished in chapter 2 in itself. Why do we need to go through, have the 18 chapters? Why should Lord Shri Krishna go through this? It was not required. But today, that's a problem we have. We don't listen. Listening is a must. So we all have to rise and fight. Die and you will win heaven. Conquer and you enjoy sovereignty of the earth. Therefore, stand up, Arjuna, determined to fight. How sweet. I sometimes feel so sad for Lord Shri Krishna. He's saying such nice things to Arjuna in so many different ways. But this Arjuna doesn't seem to listen to him. Like you and me. Our mind is so strong that we get lost, dwelling on things, subjects and imaginations that the mind creates. And then what happens? We lose, that time into doing something fantastic with our life, to achieving some great things in life and get lost in what is happening around us. Please remember, everything is a play. It's just a maya. And if you choose to ignore that and just samarpan, you have to just let go and surrender to the will of the divine Lord. Lord, you take care. I am not bothered. Let what happens, let it be. What has to be will be. You can't change. So let it happen and just surrender and do your job. Focus on yourself and win in this world. This time, once lost, will never come back. Sometimes there is no second chance. It is only one chance. My Guruji will say, you just have this one life to reach your salvation. Would you say that I will come back again? You can't. So how would you then make it happen? So you have to lose, thinking that there is no tomorrow, you have to fight today. But we don't understand the value of that. See, even I, as this body, have to go through these things. But the most important thing is when this lesson comes, it's about the application of the lesson is very important. The knowledge is what is being imparted to us. But the application of that knowledge is quite crucial, and that application doesn't happen because we don't practice. It's easy to preach. It's very difficult to practically live that lessons or implement or application of that lesson learned is the most difficult thing. So we have to consciously practice, and that is why the gurus put these kind of tests in front of you n number of times to see where you stand. My Guruji was saying something very beautiful. He said, I have to keep testing to see, how much of impurities is. See, there is different kinds of metals, right? The silver is silver because that's what it is. But even in silver, to become the purest of the silver, you still have to remove the impurities. And some are gold, some are diamonds, okay? Everybody cannot be a diamond or everybody cannot be a gold. Likewise, everybody cannot be a silver. Everybody is, they belong to different categories of the gemstones. And the superiority depends on how much of effort they put, how much pure they are, and how they evolve. So my Guruji was saying, I need to test everybody in their own space. So if a diamond is there, how pure the diamond is. Similarly, how pure the gold is. Now, if the silver is gone beyond, can the silver become a gold? No, the silver cannot become a gold. But in the silver, can it become the highest of the pure the metal? Of course, yes. The highest of the purity it can get. So he needs to test everybody in their own places. And only the Guru knows that. Only the Lord knows who is pure, who is impure, where they stand. We are nobody to judge anyone. Only the Divine Lord, the Guru, the Parabrahma, the Master of the Universe. Only they know that. We can't judge anybody, anyone. Because our understanding, we don't have any understanding. First of all, most important, we don't even have knowledge. So what are we talking about understanding? Having the knowledge is very important. And this is something which we miss. We think going and learning the subjects, which is just a bookish knowledge, is what means education means. Education means that you need to have the knowledge which will enable you to become humble. And this knowledge can only be imparted by the real master, the Guru himself, who is none other than the Lord Sri Krishna. And that knowledge is only sought in the Gurukul, the lineage of the Guru. That is where you get this. So the Guru teaches the real knowledge is about how do you become humble? How do you use that knowledge, what you get, to serve in this world and not just serve ourselves. That is not why we are here, and that is not why we are getting this profound lesson. So here also, Lord Sri Krishna is saying, die and you will win heaven. Even if you die while fighting in the battle, you will win heaven because you have done your duty. Then, conquer. And if you are able to conquer and you enjoy sovereignty on this earth, so you rule, you become the king on this earth. Therefore, Arjuna, stand up now and fight. Get determined that you're going to fight. Face this life, come what may. And that is exactly what the Lord has taught today to Arjuna. I hope you've learned something really nice from this lesson. And let us all, like this Arjuna, not get swayed, not be afraid, but let us get determined to fight in our life and have the conviction that the Lord is the charioteer and He's always with us to take care. So with that, I'll stop the satsang here and we'll continue tomorrow from verse 38 onwards. Thank you for joining the Bhagavad Gita satsang. Om Shri Mahaganapate Namaha. Om Shri Gurudev Datta. Om Shri Sachidananda Sadguru Sainath Maharaj Ki Jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Digambara Digambara Shri Pad Vallabha Digambara. Om Shri Krishna Gurunathanatha Shri Guruve Namaha. Om Devi Durgaya Namaha. Om Shri Krishna Arpanam Namastu. Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum.